Okay.
We are now being recorded,
Live.
and we're now going to do the dodgy bit of going live on Facebook. Oh, Brian's not here yet, is he?
Was he here last week? I didn't. Was he here last week? Does anybody?
I don't know. I don't remember him being here.
He did try to join in.
Right.
I like Brian. It's nice having him around, yeah.
He's smashing. He's smashing. And blimey, Tony, all those discs. How long
have
do
you been listening? Have you been having a nice listen?
Well, I've been trying to. In between various commitments.
Well, there'll be a couple more coming your way. I'll be seeing Andy on Saturday. Okay. I'm seeing Andy on Saturday, and I'm sure he would kindly put his own CD on a copy thing, so I can send you a copy.
I mean, I'll be delighted to
send you
a copy, Paul.
Yeah.
Is there anything I can do for you so you can recognise the track titles? Do you want me to put a little
No, because it just goes on a standard player, so.
Yeah, but what I mean is do you need something to enable you to hear the track titles, however? I don't mind.
I don't do that with any other CD, so no, it doesn't. Well, it doesn't. I don't do that with any other disc, so.
Well, what I'll do is I'll put like an audio track saying these are the tracks on this CD. I do hope you enjoy it, and the tracks are number 1.
Okay, 2. Yeah, 5. If you want to do that's up to you.
He's good like that. He's good with technology. Unlike us young people, he's older than us, and he's good with technology.
Less of the old. I mean, there's something actually which does make me wonder, because I mean I worked as an ophthalmic nurse for many years, and I believed in what's called thermofoil. It's like a foil, and you indent it.
Yeah,
you can indent it with braille.
It's thermoform. It's they used to do it with all our diagrams when I went to school. They were all done on this thermoform. And this is how you learnt to draw. So you drew the shape of an elephant or
let me tell you,
or whatever it was they wanted.
Have you ever heard of a music teacher called Sue Yates, Paul, or maybe Tony, or maybe Tony might?
Yes,
well,
I
Sue
have
Yates
heard
played
of
the piano.
I don't know her.
Right, I'll tell you what it was. I went to see her.
I know people that taught by her.
Yeah, well, Sue Yates actually, she invited me round to chat about music, and I'd played some of her stuff on the radio, and I thought it'd be great, but she was very matter of fact, a very nice lady.
I gather.
And she had 2 pianos in the back living room.
2?
Yeah, well, one was
a size house.
It was like a typical Wavertree house where you've got like a front room and a back room, and she had the doors removed so she could get the second piano in. But it was the way in which I was talking to her about Braille, and I said, well, how do you work with notation? And at this time, computers hadn't progressed to that. This was like 1989. And she said, oh, it's easy. She said, I just get me sheets and I get someone to put them together for me in Braille. Well, maybe she does. I don't know quite how she does it. But then I said, could I have a sample of like what you do, with Braille type thing? And she passed me, and the typewriter was over large, a very, very large device. And she passed me the sheet, and it had the alphabet in Braille. And I thought, I'll follow the alphabet. And there's all this other text, and I thought it was maybe notation for a song. And what it was 2 pints of milk, 1 loaf of bread, 2 tins of beans, a tin of oxtail soup. And it was a shopping list. And I found that it's funny, but then again, people need to live, whatever it takes to help you to get to what you need to do.
Surely.
Yeah, but she was a great lady. I thought she was marvellous. I lost touch with her a long time ago.
I forget which school she taught at. One of the
I wasn't sure if she taught at St. Vincent's or not.
Well, that's a
well-known
one, isn't it? Anyway, listen.
Well, I know. Yes, let's go.
Before we do any more chatting, we've called tonight's show Hotter Than July, in honour of Stevie Wonder, of course, who released a wonderful album called Hotter Than July. We may feature a track or 2 from it. But and also the weather is hotter than July, as you know. But,
it is July.
I know, it's hotter than July now, isn't it? It feels like it's August already. But as Andy knows, I don't know if anyone else does, tomorrow is my actual birthday. So the reason I picked hotter than July is you can sing to me in a minute, but Stevie Wonder's going to sing to me first. So now you three can sing to me, you see.
Right, are you ready?
Yeah.
Ready, everyone?
Yeah.
Happy birthday to you. Happy birthday to you. Happy birthday, dear Tony. Happy birthday to you.
Thank you.
Hey!
Hey!
Hey! Hey!
Thank you.
Jolly good fellow. Here's jolly good fellow.
What is it? 21 today.
I
Yes,
wish.
today.
As of tomorrow, I'm nearer to 70 than 40, you see. This is the problem.
He's near to 70. Christ, it's over the wall.
Yeah.
It's fucking
No, it's not. You're still a mere youngster. Even at 70 nowadays, you're still a mere youngster.
It's sometimes some people are. I know you're right, Zoe. We're lucky in our generation, really, that I don't think many of us look particularly old in our 50s. Whereas, going back 20, 30 years, someone in their 50s, they looked really old, didn't they?
There are people old in their 40s because they don't like change. If they think about yesterday and they think like that and think how it all used to be. And I'm slightly guilty of it, I must confess.
But even back in the good old days?
Back in the good old days. And there's a lot of that. But there are people who are old in their 40s. If you don't embrace change,
I think you're entirely right with that. Anyway,
so what are you going to be doing anyway? What do you tell us?
I'm working tomorrow. I've got a lot of work on tomorrow.
That's why I'm sorting them out on Saturday.
You don't
know it yet, do you?
Yeah, no, you mentioned it to me earlier. You did.
So go on then, Andy. What are you doing for him? What can you not tell us?
Well, put it this way, involves 2 pairs of handcuffs and quite a lot of blue tack. Oh no, that's me. That's me on Friday night. Sorry. Oh yeah,
wonderful.
2 pairs of handcuffs and more blue tack. Yeah, okay.
Yeah,
it's a festive.
2 pints of lager and a packet of crisps, please.
Yeah. Anyway, listen. Before we do each of us chipping in anything you want to chip into, I do want to play you another track by Visions of Albion, which Paul may have heard now. But I don't know if Andy and Zoe have. But they did this live over at Thornton Huff last Saturday, and it went down so well. So this is from their debut EP. They're a wonderful duo called Visions of Albion. This is a track called Daily Life. This should be heard everywhere.
Driving slow, stopping at every single traffic light. Still stuck inside of my daily life. My mind's not mine, it's another things beside what's in front of me. I can see clearly the windows are too dirty, and it's hard to paint a picture of your daily life when it's difficult for you to communicate the way that you feel in the pain. I hope that things they start to change. Do you ever feel alone when the room is full? It's the strangest traffic light, still stuck inside of my daily life. My mind's not mine.
Wow.
Right, Paul, we'll come to you first. Give us your little praise.
That's a stunner.
Thank you. I think so too.
Absolute stunner. I'm trying to think who they remind me of.
That's the hard bit sometimes.
There's so many groups. You know, there's plenty of groups done stuff like that.
Yeah.
But there's a bit of Eddie Reader in her voice. There's all sorts of.
Oh yeah.
There's all sorts. A bit of Suzanne Vega, perhaps even.
Yeah.
Too.
Oh, here's Uncle Brian. Oh,
hey, here he is.
Missed the first proper song.
Oh dear.
Brian.
Hiya, Brian.
Hello, Brian.
Uncle Brian.
Hello.
Come in.
He's
come
with
in,
us?
49.
He's thinking about it. Are you with us, Uncle Brian?
Are you here?
Are you with us now?
Oh my God!
Hey!
Oh,
you all right, mate?
Continue.
Well, we've only just started.
Oh.
Tell you what, just bear with us then. What I mean, for the benefit of Brian,
with us.
For the benefit of Brian, I'm going to play you the first minute or so of the song I've just played all of to the rest of us, so you can then give us your opinion on it. Because Paul was trying to think of some words, but struggling a bit.
It was that good. It was that good, Brian.
all in good faith. So, Brian, this is Daily Life, a new single by the Visions of Albion, and I hope you like it because you're going to be first to talk about it when we finish playing it.
Oh, am I?
Driving slow, stopping at every single traffic light, still stuck inside of my daily life. My mind's not mine, it's another things beside what's in front of me. I can see clearly the windows are too dirty, and it's hard to paint a picture of your daily life when it's difficult for you to communicate the way that you feel in the pain. I hope that things they start to change. Do you ever feel alone when the room is full? It's the strangest ever feeling you're misunderstood. Once you learn it's all a game. You play then you dealt and you win. And it's hard, it's hard, oh it's hard all the way.
Well, Brian, we all heard 3 minutes of it, but based on a minute, tell us how many out of 12 you'll give it.
Out of 12?
Yeah.
I'd say 12.
Good man. We like you even more. We like you even more.
That was boss, that. It reminded me, it just thunders along and there's so much happening in the music.
Yeah.
I can hear the beat. I can hear all that.
Yeah.
And that girl's voice, she sounds, I can't remember her name, the American
she's
singer.
only about 23, Samantha, the singer. Maybe 24 now. She's only a young lass.
What if she smokes Rothmans?
Dan, the bloke does. He still smokes. Because I went to see them with friends of Andy's.
Big fun.
They were playing, and Visions were the sport band, and they were stood outside, and I said hello to them, and I said to Dan, I said, "You're singing in half an hour. What are you doing, having a cigarette?" He said, "Oh, I keep meaning to give up. I keep meaning to give up." So Dan, live on Formby Radio, live on Facebook. You better have given up by November when we all come and see you in November.
Yeah, we all agree.
Playing at the Philharmonic Music Rooms.
I'll even travel up for that one. I tell you what,
it's near the end of November, and it's. Oh, where's Dave Holden? I've met him before. He's a nice chap. We'll let him in. Visions of Albion and Two Black Sheep and two other duos, Andy, that you may or may not know. Something about me and Ebo, or me and Debo, and there's another duo as well. So that's at the end of November. I will get the details when we're playing another song, so people can make a note of it.
Hey, Dave.
He's thinking about it. He's going to connect now. So, Brian, you like that, yeah?
I like it. I like it a lot.
So Zoe, then
I-
we must ask you then. Mark's
Love
out of
it.
13. Mark's out of 13.
I have to be 14. I have to
Oh,
be
This is
14.
good.
Really
It's getting
inspiring.
better marks
The
off everybody. It's a catchy song, but she's got a great voice, hasn't she?
yeah.
I've
Nice
thought
and clear.
about what it reminds me of.
Go on.
It reminds me, it's like some of the stuff that Katie's Tunstall does, you know,
Yes.
like
Oh,
the
yeah,
other
yeah,
time
yeah.
in Wales.
Yeah,
Good call.
yeah.
You know, Light to the Telescope.
Yeah.
It's a bit like
Really
that.
good call, that.
But the guitar work is excellent. It's
He's
a
really
lovely
good, Dan.
spare rhythm
He's
structure.
only a young
Yeah.
lad, but
And
he really worked hard.
Well, you know, the guitar thing, you know what it reminds me of a lot is, unfortunately, you might not like it. You know,
Yeah,
when
I
you
was
get
just
the
going to say,
proclaimers.
you've done me. You're
Yeah.
dead right.
In the morning, when you know I'm gonna be the one who wakes up next to you.
Yeah.
I think you and Dave could duo that later.
universal.
Do you and Dave both know that one? Could you duet it?
I think the two should.
I think
You know that one,
Dave has
Dave?
more claim to Scottish.
I know I've heard it.
heritage
I've
than
never
I do.
played it, but
You can play what you want, mate. Don't worry, we're not putting you on the spot like last week. Brian, you missed
He
last
is,
week's
he
one way or the other, didn't you?
Yeah,
I did.
mate.
I tried to get it on, but it was
We
just
did 10 years of the Rolling Stones, and I very much put Dave on the spot
Brilliant.
and made him instantly play a Rolling Stones song, but he did a good job of it.
well, to be honest with you,
Great.
I was actually wanting to do at least one.
Yeah.
It was probably the one which I was kind of stuck between three,
Yeah.
and that was the one which I thought, well, you've at least played that one once before. The other two were kind of, yeah, this is the first time you're ever going to try them, so you're probably going to muck it up.
Yeah, it's only live radio and live Facebook, so there's never any pressure. You just, you take it as it
That makes it
comes.
sound like there's more pressure, Tony. Come on.
Oh, there's no pressure, not
So
really.
Dave, in advance
Pressure's what you
notice,
make it.
advance notice, Dave is up in sunny Scotland next week, so you'll not be joining us.
Oh.
Where are you going, and why? What for?
We're going first off just to, I mean, not meant any disrespect to this area, but just to get away for a week.
No, you should. It's
The
always good.
second reason really is because on my mum's side of the family, especially, we've been, my late granddad was Scottish, so we've always had a connection to Scotland. So for the first half, we're going to a town on the borders where we used to have a caravan. So we're going a bit of a trip down memory lane with that just for the couple of days. And then the second half, we're going up to the Isle of Skye.
Really? Wow.
Oh,
Yeah.
You're a photographer, aren't you? So I expect to see hundreds of beautiful photos because you're going at a perfect time to get the light, aren't you?
Well, I mean,
Yes.
it's definitely uncharted territory. So really, whereas normally with holidays, often you plan it
you've
out.
got to get there first.
We're going in completely blind. So, yeah.
Hey,
No pun intended. Sorry about that, Paul.
no, you're all right. It's fine. I love it. Fine.
So we're just driving around, seeing what there is, really.
Yeah. Hopefully it'll be.
You've got to get there first. That's your biggest challenge.
Well, it's the reason why we're going up to the first town, Peebles. It's called first. Just
Peebles, I know, a good rugby club in Peebles.
oh yes, I've never seen them play, but I know whereabouts they are.
Good side. Good side. Always have been a good side.
Yeah. So
Have they played Saints
Andy,
at all? Do you know?
pardon?
Sorry.
Have they played Saints at all? Do you know, Paul?
Not this season. I don't think.
All right. Maybe one day it'll happen.
So we're going to put Andy
you
on the
never
spot
know.
first because he was first to join
Really?
tonight. So Andy very kindly said he'd either play something he wants to play or play something I'm making him play. So it's up to him to say what he's doing first.
That's the same thing, isn't it, Tony?
Where's the headband gone?
Oh yes, the headband has got to go on.
Yeah, I think so.
No,
Certainly if you're doing anything slightly psychedelic.
God, to look like me mother.
Somebody like to describe that. Would somebody describe that to me?
Imagine
Andy,
it.
don't stand on street corners wearing that,
you-
otherwise the traffic waiting to change to green.
Hey,
It's very bright.
Hey, Andy.
You
It's
see,
Don't
really
let me home
bright.
from school.
It looks like he's
Ian
got. It
from
looks like
school.
he's got a torch shining
It's
out of the
sausage
top of
rolls
his
for
head.
tea. No, God bless you, Mum.
Is that the one
No,
you
it's
were
not
wearing
like that,
before? You're wearing it the other
Yeah,
way
just
up.
with different.
You're wearing it
Yeah,
the
well,
other
now
way
I
up.
look like Dangerous Brian out of Brian Conley's show. I'm now going to leap over a milk float in, on a trike or something,
Yeah.
But we won't go into
So Andy,
I
is
suppose
this
you want
one?
me
Are
to
you
play
going to
something.
cheer us up with one of your own and save the other one for later? Or are you doing the other one
Christ, if
now?
I play one of my own, I won't cheer you up.
You're definitely doing two
I'll
tonight.
explain. I'll
There's
explain
no
briefly.
agenda tonight, so people can do what they want within reason.
Oh.
You say that, but you're the editor. You say that.
And we never hear the finished cut.
This is the reason.
Yeah.
It's Raspberry Beret by Prince, right?
Yeah.
Now, I discovered, because I thought I better make sure I've got this right. And although I know where all my records are, I don't always know the meaning of some of the lyrics. Raspberry Beret has got a rather risque meaning.
Intriguing.
Yeah.
Well, this was about a girl working on a hot day, isn't it? It's another song about a hot day.
Yeah, but there's an allusion in the lyric. She wore a raspberry beret that can't be found in a second-hand store. And if it was warm, she wouldn't wear much more.
That's right, yeah.
Yes, I remember it now.
Yes. Where's my raspberry beret?
Yeah.
It's on your head.
Yeah. But the reason I asked Andy to play this is I share some music, not every Saturday night, but when I'm in the mood, I do a thing on Facebook where I play some songs I like. And I sometimes, like when we do this show with Derek, I don't always like to play the obvious original one. I'll try and find a decent cover or who did it originally rather than the popular version. Like Tiffany had a great song called I Think We're Alone Now.
Yes.
Oh,
Andy will know. Andy will know the original. Now, the original's great, isn't it? The
original. It's a great record because it's quite tough in the way it sounds.
Yeah.
But
Tommy James did some great stuff, didn't he? Really? He did a version of Mony Mony, didn't he, as well?
Well, you know what Mony Mony means, don't you? Do you know what it means? Well, when they were performing in a club or something, and he went out to get some air in the night sky, and they found Mutual of New York on a building, like an illuminated building. So someone came up with MONY, Mutual of New York, and then it becomes Mony Mony. That's actually where it comes from.
Say it like that, but yeah, you can think it's all sort of things.
It's very matter of fact. But
let's hear you.
Anyway, shall I play this?
Yeah, so no, I played REM did a version of it without Michael Stipe, you see.
I've heard that, which I actually quite like.
And it was really, really good. So I dared Andy to learn it in a day. Well, 2 days, so
around the world in a day, eh?
It pretty much.
Yeah,
is that the album was off? Yeah.
Which? No, that's the album it's from. Okay. 1, 2, 1, 2, 3, 4. Working part-time in a 5 and dime. My boss was Mr. McGee. He told me several times that he didn't like my kind, cause I was speak too leisurely. Seems that I was busy doing something close to nothing, but different than the day before. That's when I saw her, when I saw her, she was waving through the outdoor outlet. She wore a raspberry beret, the kind you find in a second-hand store. Raspberry beret, and if you were warm, it wouldn't burn much more. Raspberry beret, I think I love her. Built like she was, she had the nerve to ask me if I'd plan to do any harm. Put on my bike and rode down to old Mac Johnson's farm. I went one day to turn me on. Something about the clouds and her mist. You're right. I get the when she kissed me, she knew how to get a kicks. Join in.
Raspberry beret. Oh, God.
raspberry beret. And if she was warm, she wouldn't wear much more. Raspberry beret. I think I love her. The rain sounds so cool when it hits the barn roof, and the horses wonder where you are. From the drive-time while the lightning sees, you feel like a movie star. Say, they said the first time ain't the greatest, but I tell you, I had your chance to do it all again. I wouldn't take a stroke, cause baby, you're the most. Nothing like you don't stand. And again, raspberry beret. The kind you find in the second-hand store. Raspberry beret. And if she was warm, she wouldn't wear much more. Raspberry beret. I think I love her. One more time. Raspberry beret. The kind you find in the second-hand store. Raspberry beret. And if she was warm, she wouldn't wear much more. Raspberry beret.
Hello.
I think I love.
That's good.
Last
Well
word.
done. Well done.
Don't have to be
Fabulous.
beautiful. Oh, no. That's another song for another time.
Doesn't it just prove, though, that with some songs you've got to really know the lyric to keep up with the pace of the song?
I think since that, I lost a little bit of the lyric because my eyesight is not that great. I'm a bit short.
Oh, get out. Stop.
And the words, yeah. But look at the words. The words are too blooming small.
Put them in your brain, then. Put them in your brain.
Well, I tried, but they
He's only had a day, Paul. I only gave him. It was
You
Saturday
need a
night
brain
at
to put it
midnight.
in.
Saturday night at
Oh,
midnight.
oh.
I jokingly said, "Any chance you can do that on Monday?" And he went, "Like that's tomorrow, you know."
Yeah, but you see, the thing is that we joke about this. We have quite long phone calls, Tony and I.
Yeah.
And he says, "I bet you can do that." I went, I like the song. I've always loved the song, but I thought, am I going to do this?
Well, you did it. Well done.
No, you did a great job, Andy. Honestly,
job,
and I like the mix of the way you did it. That it still had a bit of the bluesy twang that REM used, because they bluesed it up a bit, didn't they? Really?
When I heard it, but it was too late for me to learn it by rote. You know?
That's the best way to learn.
I mean, and also there's a tendency amongst the friends I've done open mic with over the years. There's a tendency to do stuff that's a bit outside the box.
Yeah.
I mean, this applies certainly to Dave. And certainly you get people like Dave Galvin, who you've not messed. Dave Galvin did one open mic night where he did the Masochist song, you know, Tom Lehrer.
Oh, I love Tom Lehrer.
I mean, I must admit, I mean, that shows a great leap of imagination because his records are mainly out of print. But it's like you get people.
He did Hello Mother, Hello Father.
Yeah, I think he wrote it.
Alan Sherman.
Here I am at Camp Granada.
And he did there's alimony, antimony, ectomony, baridium,
the periodic table, yes.
He did that as well. And poisoning pigeons in the park, which would be
yes.
Poisoning
Brian
pigeons
didn't hear
in the
that.
park.
Brian didn't hear us then. Poisoning pigeons in the park.
No, but you see what it is there was a guy even before that who did comic songs. He's not as well known as he should be. It was a guy called Paddy Roberts, and he did the Ballad of Bethnal Green. And Love Isn't What It Used to Be, and the Love Isn't What It Used to Be caused trouble in 1959. Because he sang the line which went, "To hell with the romance that's done, the sex. Love isn't what it used to be." And you think, oh God, you know, there's going to be people who are really annoyed about that. But I did like on, I've got the album somewhere. I did like one particular track, which was the Ballad of Bethnal Green.
Yes, that's an old musical song.
Her dad was on the dole, and the best delight was a Friday night when she had a little rock and roll. So it was all sort of very much current at the time. But it was like, it was almost like Noel Coward Goes Working Class.
Yes.
Yeah.
You know, there wasn't like
kind of similar to what you just sung, actually.
What's that?
Kind of similar to what you just sung in a way, in a strange way.
Yeah, Yeah.
But I mean, Noel Coward wouldn't have written about flipping people going to rock and roll
Is
dances.
Dave going to get the mandolin down tonight's what I want to know.
Dave, Dave,
Oh.
you've got to do it.
Time to dust it off a bit.
Well,
I mean, the mandolin.
Is he going to play mandolin tonight? Is he? He's thinking. He's moving around.
To see if it's in tune.
Well, tell you what, Dave. You in a minute when we're playing another song, you've got 3 minutes to tune it. You see.
Oh, 3 minutes
No
to make
pressure,
a run for
Dave.
it.
No pressure.
But before we get to Dave or anyone else, I think it'd be nice to let Zoe give us a poem before we run into just music. You see, poetry needs to be heard. And
okay.
Well, I'm hoping Zoe's got some poetry for us.
Oh yeah, I've got a poem and I've got one that could be flustered, which could be playing for later.
Okay.
But I've got a bit of a unicorn thing going on at the moment.
Okay.
Sort of like working on a novel to not just your standard unicorns, these are quite sinister.
I like the sound of that.
As you do.
Who are you working on that with?
Well, I got an idea from a writing group that I go to, sort of writing prompts. It's just kind of gone from there, really.
Now you can tell him the real answer.
Okay.
Now you can tell him the real answer.
Well, Paul's been really kind of like sort of listening to it. I must be driving up the wall at the moment.
Oh.
Because pretty much every time I'm talking phone.
It was actually inspired by the Bachelor's song of 1964, which everybody knows about the unicorn song.
No, there was
green alligators and long neck geese and humpty-back camels and some chimpanzees. I got your cats and rats and elephants, and sure as you're born, you're never going to see no unicorn.
Oh.
A children's song. If anybody listens to children's favourites.
There was pretty unicorns.
Yeah.
I don't know. I just think the pretty unicorns, they're overrated.
Yeah.
So more the devil side.
We're liking the sound of this. Go on then.
Steamboat's devil corn was in a stew. The sun, the ice cream van, chiming as pure as a fairy's bell. How could this be? Has this worked? Has this moment? This did not very well.
Nice short one.
Yeah, but I kind of literally just did it before. So it's probably going to get.
I've seen a fairy's bell, but that's a different story.
Yeah, well, you've just got to keep
good.
I mean, the same's true whether you're writing itself or writing poetry or writing a song. You've got to start and then polish it up. Really, I don't think anyone ever gets anything right the first time. I'm waiting for Paul O'Brien to sing Puff the Magic Dragon. Who's going to sing Puff the Magic Dragon for me?
Lives by the sea.
I can't remember all the words. So
no,
can we
another week. In the autumn mist.
In a land called Honolulu. I can't remember.
Little Jackie Paper loved that rascal Puff. I only know the rude version.
There is a rude version, isn't there?
Yeah. That's
anyway, listen, Uncle Brian over there. We're going to. I'm going to just delve into my iTunes, and I think somewhere here.
Oh yes, I got a copy of your disc somewhere.
Oh yeah.
I think because you stuck it in your.
Brian sent you a copy. So Brian, with a free choice of 13 songs, and I think we've heard "Fly Me to the Moon," so we'll play one of the others. Which that didn't mean it to sound like that actually. We've heard "Fly Me to the Moon." Which would you like us to play, young sir? Off your CD, have you got one?
Nice and easy.
Nice and easy, great song.
Nice and easy. Yeah, we've got it. We've got it here. For those of you that don't know, those external to this little group, Brian is a man of more than one talent. He can do two things at least. He's a brilliant artist. If ever you get the chance to see Brian's art, I mean, he does commissions, he does stuff off his own bat, but he also works for other people. You've illustrated books for quite famous people, Brian Jakes and Denise Robertson. He sings a bit. And in fact, I didn't realise when people say they can sing, you don't always know what to say really. Because, Brian suddenly said to me before, about Christmas time or thereabouts. I've recorded a CD, and I thought he just meant one song. I didn't realise he meant an actual album with 13 songs on it. So I was lucky. I got to hear this, a couple of months ago, and then inadvertently gave my copy of the CD to a friend who never gave it back. So Brian very kindly gave me another copy a week or two ago. So I've now got the whole CD ready for playing anytime. And I think he's kindly sent a copy down to Paul.
Well, not yet, I don't think, but
yeah.
I think I think we sort something out with that.
Yeah, it will happen. Anyway, so Brian, this is your version of Nice and Easy.
Let's take it nice and easy. It's gonna be so easy for us to fall in love. Hey baby, what's your hurry? Relax and don't you worry. We're gonna fall in love. We're on the road to romance, that's safe to say, but let's make all the stops along the way. The problem now, of course, is to simply hold your horses. To rush would be a crime. God, nice and easy does it every time. We're on the road to romance, that's safe to say, but let's make all the stops along the way. The problem now, of course, is to simply hold your horses. To rush would be a crime. 'Cause nice and easy does it. Nice and easy does it. Nice and easy does it every time. Nice and easy does it. Nice and easy does it. Nice and easy does it every time.
Oh, wow.
Is that fantastic?
Nice one, Brian.
Tremendous, mate.
Absolutely fantastic. I think Frank Sinatra did a version of that a few years back as well.
Not as good as that, he didn't.
No, but he did do a version, didn't he?
Well, thank you.
No, absolutely, Brian. I think you do it.
What's it like hearing it back, Brian? You recorded it. What's it like listening back to it now? Do you think, do I do that?
It feels surreal, to be honest with you.
Well, Paul, the other week when I played one of Brian's, because I put him on the spot a bit, because I'd admitted I'd lost the CD. So he'd sent me a couple of samples via Messenger on Facebook. And I went trawling back through my Facebook when one of you guys was singing or talking. And I sort of found one of the links he'd sent me, but didn't know what it was. And I started playing it. And Brian couldn't quite work out, was I having him on that it was him singing? Was it
and
like,
that was genuine.
Something like Frank Sinatra or whatever, but it was Brian's version. Brilliant. I was playing.
Absolutely brilliant.
I couldn't believe. I was like trying to say to you on the screen, you're playing the wrong one, Tony.
I know, but I wasn't.
It was really odd.
I wasn't seeing it because I was scrolling through Messenger trying to find it. You see, yeah. So what's next in your singing canon, Brian? Have you got some more songs lined up?
Well, we did a little like a group of musicians. We got together in Willington's Tunnels.
Yeah, maybe
like, a friend of Willington Tunnels. I just did one, and then I got a few of the other musicians. We got together in Willington's Tunnels. Yeah, maybe. Friend of Willington Tunnels. Like friend of Willington Tunnels. And I just did one, and then I got a few of the other musicians. We got together in Willington Tunnels. Yeah, maybe. And then because of the situation with lockdown, and they couldn't have, and so the guys that like with me, I kicked it all off or helped to with my mate Kevin, who is a brilliant guitarist.
You've recorded in, isn't it?
Well, do you remember the song that he played, Smile?
Yeah.
Oh yeah.
Well, he's the guitarist on Smile.
Yeah.
It was him, and so he's my mate. And another guy who's Elkie Brooks is saxophonist. Well, we all did a piece. We all did a piece together in the tunnels, like 4 levels down under the ground, like which were dug like 250 years ago.
Yeah, it's amazing. It's bonkers, really, isn't it?
And the acoustics are just incredible.
I bet.
Yeah.
You know, if you clap and it goes bump, 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 like one of like, well, it goes, I think, 8 times. If you say something, like that, it's incredible.
Pink Floyd would have liked to record there back in the day. I think.
You have to be careful because the sound crosses over from one of the cabins to another one.
Yeah.
And it doesn't settle. The sound doesn't settle. So it was very difficult for the audio and the video to do it.
Yeah.
And so they had to select who they wanted to come in. So
Well,
they've got like...
You've been going out singing recently, haven't you? You've been asked to sing in a couple of bars in Liverpool.
I go... I've got there's a couple of bars that I go to and have a drink.
He only has one drink, Paul, before you say anything.
A shandy. A shandy.
I can sit all night with a pint, mate, and everybody knows what I'm like. If I'm 2, I'll get bevied. You know, it's like that. But it's good because some of the friends have their own little shows. And then as they're playing, they'll wave through the window and go, you know, sort of, are you getting up? And I'll go, oh, all right. And I'll write a couple of songs down. And so, yeah, I got up and I did New York the other day. Like, I tried it I've never done that ever on stage, like 2 weeks ago. And each mic they passed me, the battery went in each mic. So I was singing and there was no sound.
Oh, my word.
But it was
funny. They pass me those mics every time I sing.
It was funny, but eventually the same people that it happened to 2 weeks ago, they were on the other night and they said I could get up, and I said, "Yeah, Mike's all right," and he said, "I brought my own," and it went off a treat. It went off a treat.
Brilliant.
Oh, brilliant.
So,
yeah, no, I think Andy and Dave are looking forward to getting out and gigging fairly soon and such like, aren't you? I would imagine.
Well, we're actually, I've already sent the message out, although I don't know if everyone's got it.
I didn't.
We're doing the. Well, in that case, I shall announce it live here. Okay, Dave.
What? I don't know what he said. What did he say?
No, it's okay.
Dave didn't get the
Dave
message.
and I are involved in a recording on August the 21st.
Yeah,
that's a lot.
Fantastic.
There's a friend of ours, Bob, and Bob is into country and western, and we wanted to have a Pancho and Lefty, which is like a Willie Nelson thing, or City of New Orleans, which is Alla Guthrie. You know, so we're going to do some rehearsing in the next couple of weeks now that everything's opened up a bit more, and also hopefully when Dave comes back from holiday.
Mm-hmm.
Yeah, but
you have to tempt me.
The reason being is because Dave
up there.
Well, put it this way. I mean, Dave is a multi-instrumentalist, and he, in fact, on the recording we did back in May, Dave played organ, keyboards, and guitar. And I mean, here's me sort of. This is the one thing about it. It's a group. We haven't got a name yet, so any suggestions are very welcome. Dave, watch yourself.
Leave it with me.
I'm not saying anything.
Leave it with me.
I know we've always enjoyed just the fact that when you've got a group of people you're comfortable with, you can lay back and enjoy it, and just say, "Well, I'd like this to happen." Sometimes you do get into little arguments, but they normally resolve very easily. You know, that's the way of musicians. You know, we want things to work. You know, simple as that, really.
I'm talking of simple things and work, and should we make Dave earn his keep?
Oh yeah,
I didn't get the wage for the last one, Tony.
Oh, did you not?
It's delayed. It's in the post.
It's in the post again, yeah.
Yeah, the post's all over the place.
Yeah. Have you tuned up your mandolin?
As close as I'll probably be able to get it right.
Oh,
I mean,
what a star, Dave! No, honestly, what a star.
In this heat as well.
it's got a bit. It's a bit temperamental itself. So even in any time of the year, it'll.
So, when did you start trying or learning the mandolin? I mean, when did that hit you that you wanted to try something harder than the guitar?
Well, it's going back to the holiday coming up. The first place we're staying at, they held in one pub in the town every fortnight on the Thursday night a folk night.
Yeah.
Which a group of people would just come into the pub and just play music together. There was no PA systems, no microphones, no open mic set up or nothing. It was just them all sat around the table and each one
That's
would...
how it should be, isn't it? Isn't that just more bars and pubs should be doing that, shouldn't they?
Yeah.
Absolutely.
And it was just amazing to hear all these different things. You know, like sometimes it was a violin, sometimes it was a guitar. It almost brought me to a point where the guitar was the least interesting thing being played. You know?
Yeah.
Because it was just hearing all these.
So did you save up and just rush out and buy yourself one then?
It took a while. It took a while to suddenly decide. You know what? Let's just go with it. But you know, I mean, it took a while to really understand it, because hearing it prior to that, you know, like for example, one band which I listened to from the start of learning guitar was Led Zeppelin, and there's loads of mandolin on some of their albums too. So it was almost like the carrot was being dangled on the stick right from the very start, but it was plucking up the courage to say, okay, you don't know what you're doing, but just get one. You know, if you make a mess of it, you make a mess of it. And so in the end, I just decided, well, just mess around with one, you know, and just see what happens. And to go back to Led Zeppelin, that's one thing that struck me over time is that sometimes when writing a hard rock song acoustically, sometimes it's easier to write the riffs and also think, we'll play them on this than it is on that thing back there.
Okay, yeah.
And there's one song which I've wrote, which I don't know if I played here, but I'm not going to.
You don't mind.
Which I wrote the riff on it on an electric guitar, but then I played it acoustically at a songwriters thing in Walton, and it sounded okay. It didn't sound bad. It just sounded. It fit. But then one time I was playing one song which I have played here, which I was going to do right now. And I just started playing the melody from the riff from the original song, and it was working so much better. I thought, you know what, put that in. It sounds good to just go from a folky thing to more of like a Cream or a Led Zeppelin guitar or Rolling Stone style guitar riff. It worked, you know. I mean, so instead of just playing it as a joke, I decided to just put it in. I mean, I think Andrew's heard it as well, if memory serves.
I have.
Yeah, so if I've got the courage, I might give it a go later.
Okay, we'll do what you're doing now, and we'll come back around later.
1, 2. Hey there, mama, what did I say to you? Did I break your heart? What did I do? Call you nasty, call you cruel, say you're dumb or just a fool. Oh mama, what did I do? What did I do? Hey there, mama, what did I do to you? Did I break a promise? What did I do? No message sent, no didn't phone, leave you waiting all alone. Oh mama, what did I do? You hurt so bad, every word you take steps through your heart like a wooden stick. Hey there, mama, what can I do for you? I broke your heart, so what should I do? Hold you close or stay away? Need to know you'll be okay. Oh, mama, what should I do? Hey there, mama, I still love you. If I made you sad, I didn't mean to. Want you happy, want you glad. So sorry for being bad. Oh, mama, I still love you.
Whoa, love that, Dave.
Thank you very
You
much.
did that a couple
Really
of
good,
weeks.
Dave.
You did that a
Really
couple of
good.
weeks ago, didn't you?
You know what to do, Dave? You've got to have the fuzz box on that.
Yeah, absolutely.
I need
We've got
something
to
on
fuzz
it
box
and it
wah
make it
wah.
sound a bit better.
I
but
can
I think
hear
what it is.
harmonies as well there, Dave.
Yeah.
Yeah.
I can hear harmonies coming in on that.
Yeah,
Really?
absolutely.
Yeah, that's what I
Yeah.
can hear. I can hear like another voice behind you
I
as well.
could, yeah, I know who. I know
He
who
must
it
be hiding
was.
then. I don't know where he is.
Ah, no,
I don't
You
think
know
it
what
was
I
a
mean.
he. I don't think it was a he.
I'm boss. I love that.
Thank you.
Really
Yeah,
good.
well done. Well done.
Now
Super
we're
stuff,
going to
mate.
calm down now because Paul needs us
Calm
nice and
down, calm
quiet.
down.
Paul needs us nice and quiet because do bear in mind Paul has to remember every single word from inside his own head to treat us to something he does. So hopefully he's got something that he's going to share with us now, Paul.
Well, I've slightly lowered my ambitions because the last couple of weeks I've come on, I've tried to do some fairly lofty stuff in terms of memorizing and words and failed horrendously. Now, the only person who knew that was me.
You've not failed. No, you've not
No, you
failed. So
failed,
you're going to
Paul.
say that. No, you haven't.
No,
Don't
Not
put
at
yourself
all.
down.
Zoe's
Not at
entirely
all.
right, mate. Zoe's entirely right.
Yeah, well, she's biased anyway. But
But
that's
we're
no,
not.
she's
We're not
She's
We're
biased.
not.
not, though.
She's biased. But anyway,
We have
so,
a more objective point of view.
well, I mean, you know, everyone's entitled to it, whether it's subjective or whichever way. So tonight, something light and comical, I thought, in this hot weather. We don't need anything taxing. And, for those who don't know, I sing folk ballads and folk music. And not all of it is serious about love and parting and war and death, which a lot of it is. But this is a curious little tale of a young fella, a slightly cautionary tale, a young fella who is recently married and his wife isn't very well. And he goes on the advice of a friend to a doctor who gives him a most unusual cure. And this is all about that.
Okay.
And here it goes. I'm a young married man and I'm sick of me life. For lately I married an ailing young wife. She does nothing all day now but sit there and sigh, saying I wish to the Lord that I only could die. Oh, doctor, dear doctor, oh, Doctor de John, your cod liver oil is so pure and so strong. I'm afraid for me life I'll go down in the soil if me wife won't stop drinking your cod liver oil. Well, a friend of me own came to see me one day, and he told me me wife was just pining away. He afterwards told me that she would get strong if I bought her a bottle from Dr. de John. Oh, doctor, dear doctor, oh, Dr. de John, your cod liver oil is so pure and so strong. I'm afraid for me life I'll go down in the soil if my wife won't stop drinking your cod liver oil. Well, I got her a bottle, 'twas just for to try. The way that she scoffed it, you'd swear she was dry. I got her another and it went just the same, till I own she's got cod liver oil on the brain. Oh, doctor, dear doctor, oh, Dr. de John, your cod liver oil is so pure and so strong. I'm afraid for me life I'll go down in the soil If my wife won't stop drinking your cod liver oil. My house, it resembles a big chemist shop. There's bottles and bottles from bottom to top. And when in the morning the kettle's a boil, you'd swear it was singing out cod liver oil. Oh, doctor, dear doctor, oh, Dr. the John, your cod liver oil is so pure and so strong. I'm afraid for me life I'll go down in the soil if my wife won't stop drinking your cod liver oil.
Right, love it. That took me back. That we used to get cod liver oil all the time. Every day we'd have to say cod liver oil.
Tastes horrible, Brian. Though
it is horrible. It's very good for you. Good for your joints.
No, cod liver oil's not. No, cod liver oil's.
Oh,
good.
he's thinking of castor oil.
He's thinking
castor
oil.
That's a hell of a difference.
Yeah, cod liver oil is good.
That's all right then.
Yeah.
It's like those capsules you get, the little omega-3 and all that. That's all I had.
Oh God, the omega-3 or whatever
It's
it is.
actually very good for
you used to always get a bottle of orange juice, a little like a square bottle.
Yes.
Elongated, but like a square shape with that and cod liver oil. That's what you have to do every day.
It's actually very good for dogs.
Really?
You can massage into their coats. It makes the coats nice and shiny, and it also helps their joints.
Yeah, good.
Well, I do remember that when I was younger, my dad used to get me PKL, and it was a thing that Ayrton Saunders did in Liverpool. And PKL was this thing, he'd give it to me on a spoon with some sugar. And I didn't realise till years later, we were clearing out his lockup, and he brought home several bottles of PKL. And I used to fall asleep. It was because I was asthmatic, and I used to fall asleep and dream really weird dreams, about spaceships coming to take me away and then delivering me home just in time to wake up. And what had happened was that, as I found out years later, PKL was pain-killing liniment, not to be taken internally.
No, really.
As a child, I probably had an element of fetal alcohol syndrome. It hasn't done me any harm, except I can't remember what my bleeding name is.
Oh, right. Well, Andy, I hope you can remember.
Well done, Charlie.
Now. Andy, you've got. We're going to air the track off very soon, genuinely, finally, very soon, to be out listening out of earshot album. Can you think of one that you would select?
I would actually select that. My first on the list would be "Face Your Expressions" by Two Black Sheep.
Okay,
because it is so sublime.
Should we go with that then? Should we go with that then?
Yes, please.
Okay, so this is technically the single then, Andy, isn't it?
It's technically the single. It's the one that we sent out to promote the album.
You played this.
Have we? Have we? Well, we'll play it again. We'll play it again.
Andy
has an idea. Possibly. But I think it's worthy of playing again, isn't it?
It's super.
Yeah.
Brilliant.
So two Black Sheep are a brilliant duo with strings. They have a string quartet plays with them a lot of the time, Andy, don't they?
They do. It's the feel of it. It's like, it was recorded in very little time, and it just sounds to me like it's outstanding. All the tracks on the album are outstanding. But when you listen to this, it's like it's got a sort of really ethereal feel to it. It's really nice.
Well, the CDs are now pressed, is the good news. I spoke to the man, nice friend of Andy's called Neil, who's done all the hard work of finishing things off for us. All the discs are now mastered physically, so they are ready to be put inside album sleeves. And he's spending the rest of this week working on the artwork that Andy and I have sent to him over the last month, putting it all in shipshape order. And I think Saturday...
many cakes have been eaten, haven't they?
Yeah, many cakes have been eaten. But I think on Saturday, Andy and I are hoping we might meet up with Neil and, take final ownership of this wonderful album. It's all based on the writing and inspiration of a friend of ours, Ian D. Hall, who we will get to join in one week. He does do the odd night out, Andy, doesn't he?
I've got him on Facebook. He's brilliant.
Yeah. He's a fabulous chap. In fact, he's busy writing his second horror. No, sorry, he's writing his third horror novel.
He's writing his third, yeah.
But he's had one.
What amazes me is what's he like when he's in the mood, in the zone. He completed quite a lot of this novel, and we are sort of sparing about. We'll send a message if he picks up, great. If he doesn't, we say we must be writing. But he's our mate, you know. And the one thing is, it's as much as I say if Brian was doing something, if Dave was doing a song, or Zoe or Paul were doing something, or Tony was writing something, I wouldn't say, oh, by the way, Tony, drop everything you're going to do, you know. And we respect, and I suppose the word
this
love.
is the
but,
great
you know,
thing of this group. This is the I've only been. It's my 4th week. It's my month today.
You're now official, Paul.
We're very
you're now
pleased.
official. You're now official.
Month today. And
Brother
thing,
Olban will be with us next week. Don't forget, we'll have Brother Olban on board.
Yes, he's away. He's been in Cornwall, hasn't he?
He's
Or
in
Dorset or
Cornwall,
something
yes.
like Cornwall. Where?
So
Cornwall.
anyway, guys, for those of you who've heard it, you're lucky. You're hearing it again. Everything's available on Bandcamp, which is one of these better for you sharing services where the money does get collected for the artists. So if you're going to go and listen to music, try Bandcamp out, because it's all official, but the music goes directly to the artists that you're listening to. Unlike on Spotify, which just takes all the money and says, oh, we can't afford to give any to the people who sang and wrote these songs because they don't matter, you know, which is a huge shame, and definitely action needs to be taken against them, really. Anyway, so facial expressions, it turns out, was one of the very first poems Ian ever wrote, Andy. Did you know that?
I did.
It's 10 years old, this poem.
2011.
Yeah, 10 years old when Ian first moved up to Liverpool. He'd had a rough time down wherever he'd lived previously. He'd got divorced and things weren't going well for him. He came up to Liverpool to go to university to study, creative writing and English, which he loved. Got a great degree out of it. And he slowly started going out watching, bands and such like in Liverpool. And he met a young lady called Judith as her real name, but we all call her Jude. Hey
Jude.
Yeah,
I was going to ask.
yeah.
I was going to say the same.
50, well, technically 15 years on, they're happily married, doing rather well for themselves. But Ian, somewhere in the middle of that period, started writing poetry, and this was one of the first that he ever wrote. But 3 of the artists on the CD all chose to record a version of this as their song of choice, Andy, didn't they?
They did. I mean, we worried about it at first, but then we thought there were a couple of things which kind of tied in with it. For example, there's a picture of Ian's face that was drawn by John Chatterton, and the way it looks is the facial expression is one of wisdom, of knowledge. And I thought with facial expressions, the original title of the CD might have been facial expressions, but we opted for a tie-in with his recent book, which we advise you to buy if you don't already have it.
Yes, it's called Writing Out of Earshot, a collection of poetry, prose and monologues by Ian D. Hall, available from my website or Amazon or Ian himself. $6.99, a bargain.
And not only that,
gosh,
$6.99. I like
a better bargain for that price.
Not only that, but
I think that the next plan that Andy needs to work on, which will be September onwards, is we're going to drag Ian to what's called a recording space. And we're going to get him to record all of the words on his own out loud and record them, aren't we? So we can do an audio book thing. I think that's something you've toyed with, pushing him in that direction, isn't it, really?
But we'd like to do that because I think sometimes it's like, for example, while you've got Dave writing songs like Hey There Mama, and while you've got the likes of Brian performing some of the songs like Nice and Easy, you need the interpretation to sort of connect a performer with the song. You need the interpretation, and I mean it's pretty much indivisible when you listen to say something of say Zoe's, how she expresses it. Who else would express it in the way that Zoe expresses it? These words are very close to her.
Yeah,
that's right. Absolutely right.
Yeah, no, you're spot on, Andy. You're spot on.
And that's why we're going to do this for Ian.
Yeah, this is based. Every word of this was written by Ian. It's sung by Amy and Ian, 2 black sheep. Amy and her husband recorded the strings at Amy's house. Ian recorded the guitar parts at his house, and then they sent each other the files and did the recording of the vocals. And to work like that in lockdown took some doing, Andy. I mean, I'm sure you've done similar, but when you're not in the same room as the person that you're singing with or playing guitar for or piano for.
So many examples of that.
I have done similar.
Yeah. So anyway,
when my task come.
And if anyone's out there watching, I should really say that the Beyond Book show on Thornbury Radio is sponsored by the wonderful Crafty Nutkin, a bespoke artisan card designer and, in fact, card manufacturer. So Crafty Nutkin, put that name into your search engine of choice or Facebook and say hello, pre-book your card for whatever occasion, and Francesca and the team will put everything in place at a brilliantly affordable price. So the Crafty Nutkin, the first place you should go when you need a card.
In a tear, a lifetime sadness is shown. In a tear, all manners of images are exposed. In a tear, life can end. In a tear, broken hearts mend. In a smile, friends become lovers. In a smile, true feelings uncover. In a smile, people fall for strangers. In a smile, we face the greatest dangers. Stand tall. In a laugh, comedians hear the audience call. In a laugh, there is unity in a nation. In a laugh lies love's greatest potion. In a kiss, lovers unite as one. In a kiss, romanced by the setting sun. In a kiss, children are made. In all emotions, our souls are saved.
Wow, I hope you enjoyed that.
That was brilliant.
It's
That's
lovely,
growing
isn't
on
it?
me every
Beautiful
week.
sounding.
It's lovely, isn't it?
It grows on me all the time. That does. Every time I hear it, it's just growing and growing and growing.
Yeah,
it hits a sweet spot in me.
yeah.
I find myself getting very
I mean,
emotional.
now we know that the CDs are made. We'll be ramping up the you know, the media and the PR. But also, you know, technically now people are allowed out. You know, so officially it was due out end of June, Andy, originally, wasn't it? But
It was.
you know,
We,
I think luckily we're quite happy that it didn't come out then.
I think it was also the difficulties that would have been presented because we were aiming for an original launch, would have been after June 21st when the original Freedom Day was going to happen. But we couldn't have got out to do it. And sometimes you need the connection, the personal touch with people to actually put over what it is you want to say. I mean, you can put out paperwork or, you know, EPKs and things like that, but it doesn't really work the same. You've got to involve people. This is actually a project with a lot of heart and soul in it. So that's why we delayed
We
it.
are in the autumn. I mean, we're not rushing, are we? In the autumn, we're going to have a proper big, get as many of the artists who've recorded on it together, and you know, have a proper launch party, shall we say? I mean, Dawn Oberg, who's on the album, if we've got time at the end, we'll play Dawn's track. She actually lives in San Francisco, so unless she's touring, because she does, you know, get out there and tour, she probably won't make it. But I think everyone else stands a chance of being able to get to a theatre or whatever.
What we didn't really sit back from it and sort of go, oh, what have we done? Did we? We didn't do that, Tony, because I think what it was, there was an element of, you feel like it's an element of personal urgency, if that's not kind of a strange way of putting it, where you feel that you've got to get it together within a certain time. And you've got to push people along. Look, you know, we need the track. We need it next week. Oh no, we're still working on it. Or where do we send it? Or what format? And you get production difficulties. And Mark Sebastian de Lacy, who I said, we need someone who's got good ears. He's setting up a studio. He's done loads. Let's go and see Mark. And Mark would actually point out the faults and things, which were often down to format. You know, you get someone sending him something that had been recorded in a very
tinny acoustic way, or whatever.
Yeah, and you've got to get the dynamics altered so that it sounds good in the room.
Yeah,
I went up there, and I'll tell you what gave me the confidence in that. I originally had written something, and then I thought it's not really a poem, although it's a song, and I wasn't happy with it. I did play it a couple of times. Remember when we did the Saturday things, Dave? You know, the Zoom, with Bob and Gavin and that. And I did record a demo, and I wasn't happy. And then
that was Missing Page, wasn't it? Missing
Page, yeah. And then what happened was I met up with Tony on a Tuesday in April, and it was a bit of Tuesday the 13th of April, incidentally. And when we met up, and he was outside my front door, and I said, "Look, Tony, I'm not sure about this as a song. Maybe we should do something else." And he said, "Why don't you do it as a poem, like a recitation?" And I did. And then Mark works up this rather peculiar New York City,
I think late 40s. It would suit Brian, actually, wouldn't it? The arrangements of the background.
I mean, and then I did a version with Dave and Gavin and Bob, etc., where we did the Missing Pages of blues. So there's two versions of it now.
That was brilliant.
But
you played that, didn't you? That was superb.
Yeah.
But you know, the two of us, between the two versions, I could see qualities in both. I mean, I was thinking of a parody of, a parody of sort of a Hoboken, New Jersey, you know, and Hey Lady.
It's like the Maltese Falcon, basically.
Yeah. And then I had this other song that Mark said, do you want to record it? And it was complete.
Yeah.
The song was called.
Well, he did the same with the piece I recorded, didn't he?
Yours
he
was
gave
fantastic.
Me, a vocal run through to get me balance. And then he said, go on, just have a go at doing it. And I did it. And he went, yeah, that'll do. And he didn't mean he didn't want me to do it again, as in, I couldn't have made it any better. He meant we've got it right just by being there and reciting
Did we do all three of them in the same day, Tony?
We did, yeah. Yeah, because you were trying to nick his and borrow one of his guitars.
Yeah.
He had a nice guitar that you insisted was yours.
Oh, yeah, and I was trying to put it under my coat, you know. It doesn't work when you wear a short bomber jacket, you know. Here, Mark, I know. Put it back.
Anyway, listen. Let's carry on with the poetical theme. I think Zoe mentioned she had something else that she could share with us tonight.
Yes.
I think now would be a good time, Zoe.
Okay. Right. Apologies. I don't really know what this is, but
Okay.
I think it's fast fiction, could be poem, could be anything. The clock struck midnight, a silent trip to the hall. She stands, head bowed, dare not to look up, knows what table holds, the wine and fruit, Turkish light if she is good, as always in her bribe. But how to convince them she's mine? Could they not see the scars, the bloody marks of fingertips? She casts around the floor, looking for its vaping. Swallow her. She spots it, but too late. Hands grab her, march forward, drinking shrugs, push her head towards the glass. You will not find me.
Wow.
Wow.
Yeah.
A little bit darker than your other piece, Zoe, I think.
Very much so. When I
Yeah.
first heard it, I said, you know, that you could take that all sorts of ways.
Yeah.
You could leave it as it is. You could develop that out into all sorts. She's the best starter of anything I've ever come across.
I think that's the
Brilliant.
thing, isn't it? That's the hard bit with writing, though. You know, Paul. You know, it's we all say we've got ideas, but the first step of putting that idea down on paper or singing it into a
I will
microphone.
I will say this now, and I said this to Zoe when we very first started chatting together, and I don't know if you remember this. The idea was once put to me, and they said, why don't you write a novel? I said, no, everybody has a novel in them, and then most people, that's where it should stay.
Okay. There is always the anecdote of genuine that what is within you, there's only you can write that. And I think that's the way I would try and put it, that you have got something in you, whether it's a song, a poem, or a novel. You can explain it to other people, but there's only you can really explain it properly.
I'll give some notice. I'm going to give her some time to do it. Not tonight. We'll do it in a couple of weeks or so.
Yeah.
But I'm going to get Zoe to have a search.
Yeah.
And I'm going to get Zoe to read a little something that I wrote.
Oh.
I don't know if you still. I don't know if you still have it.
Okay.
I'm sure. Yeah, I'm sure I have.
Oh, cool.
So I'm going to get you to read it, but not tonight because it takes too long to find it. We'll do another day.
Yeah. No, because it's poor old Andy now having to take over because you know, we've changed the order. We've put you next.
You're in the back next. You're in the back.
What would you like me to do?
You can do whatever you want, mate. One of yours would be nice.
I'll tell you. I should say, one of the things I actually started off writing, it was from the time I was in school. I actually remember most of this, and I wrote this when I was about 5. You know, without any knowledge of rhyming, iambic pentameter or A-B rhyming scheme, or any of the things which are involved in poetry. It was just like it came from a place which I thought it was amusing because I'd heard so many daft songs and poems, you know. But it was like I was going to the moon. I started up the motors. I got up to the moon and saw some big floaters. The floaters went away, but I never saw the floaters. I was on my way home, so I turned up the motors. It's very long, fellow, isn't it?
Yeah.
Long river, deep river, wide river.
I like it.
You know, I'm not going to compare it to Longfellow. Right? You know, I mean,
he's not here. He's not here, so he can't argue with you.
Well, when my daughter Katie was born, we were dealing with, you know, where you get health visitors and midwives and things. And I wrote a poem which said, I am the baby of the house, fruits among loins. I got there with help from my dad's groins. I laugh at you all because I'm really great. And because you haven't weaned me, I have an empty plate. So to punish you all, I'll open my bowel. There'll be so much that will come off with a trowel. I'll scream and I'll cry night after night where you two get busy cleaning up. But you'll know the rest of it. This is abuse. I'll always be little Katie, nice, sweet and cute. I'll gob on your new clothes. Yes, I'll have a ball. The biggest scam in years, the baby fooled you all. And then, of course, that's a little bit worrying. And it was a lady called Ella Haggerty, who is actually now working in Wales, who was my link as a health visitor, you know, for when children are more than a month old and you see that they're getting weaned and they're developing at the right stages. And then she said she was a bit worried about the poem because she thought this was like sort of indicative of something. maybe that we should worry about the dad's sanity. And I said, no, it's just I love writing doggerel. Although I'd written songs, I've got demos amongst all my, I've got
cassettes. Who remembers those cassettes? Marvelous things.
Yeah, blimey. Well, I used to kid myself. I used to buy Decca C45 cassettes from the basement of Rushworth and Draper because I used to kid myself. I might be on Decca records.
Sold your soul.
If you see the point of that.
Oh, my word.
I sold my soul to the devil. Anyway, what happened was, when I was writing this doggerel, Ella was really sort of, could you write me a poem? Yes, of course I will. And I thought, how do I relate to Ella? I know. There is a health visitor called Ella who sees every woman and fella. Then again, maybe she'll check on your baby to see if she's iller or weller.
I love that.
There you are.
That's fabulous.
So, that's how I write songs. I generally write words first. And sometimes I can come up with something. It reminds me of something. But I end up where I do write songs based on daft little episodes. But I mean, it's funny. I had to deal in my job. I had to deal with North Wales because Alder Hay's got a big catchment area. And he said, you have to speak to the health visitor, Ella Haggerty. I thought, oh, good. And she says, as a matter of fact, I still remember you. Why? She said, on my wall, framed, is that poem you wrote. And Katie, by the way, for the record, is now 26.
Oh, my word.
I even wrote a song for Lucy when she was born.
She's 16, all the babies, isn't she?
Yeah. She's 16. Well, imagine in the nursery, all the babies would be having a wiggle. And I wrote a little piece called Dancing with the Baby. I think I've been listening to James Brown. Dancing with the baby. Do you want some more? Oh, things like that. And they asked me, they said, why is that thing you're singing to Lucy? Because he goes, Dancing with the baby. And why is it? And I told them. I said, he went, oh, hang on. Dad's here. Right, get ready, girls. Dancing with the baby. And all these babies doing this dance. I thought, you know what? I've tried for years to write a hit song, and what do? I write something that's like off a handful of songs, but it's all true. Oh, yes. I suppose I better play something, hadn't I?
Yeah, play that.
Yeah,
I like that.
Play that.
Yeah. I wish you could.
Dancing
I don't know.
So is this a new one?
Dancing around the block, dancing with the baby. No, it doesn't work.
So
it sounded good, that.
A new one, an old one, an in-between one? You haven't been thinking for a while, have you?
Go on.
Come on, bro.
Go on.
Oh, me?
Yeah, you.
You were going to say something.
No, you just reminded me because I did one when Francesca was little. And I remember standing on Waterloo on the little prom there and singing it along when she was a little baby. And I used to go, beautiful Francesca, what are we going to get? Hair, hats and coats and stocking too, and a lovely pair of panty. Tra-la-la-la-la-la. And it was all that. And it was lovely.
That's brilliant.
You know what I mean? That kind of thing is like, it's hard to explain. It's like, I remember we were all the time hearing music on the radio when we were kids. And there was no daytime telly. It sounds really old.
Right? No, entirely true.
Nothing at all. So you had the test card for most of the day.
Scary that was.
Yeah. Test card pose, chalk, dull, right?
Yeah.
But, I mean, I remember that most of the time we listened to like music while you work or whatever. Things where
la 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 la.
That's Snow White and Seven Dwarfs, Brian.
No, it wasn't.
That was what it was called.
I know. Can I play something which you may not have heard for years, but I know it quite well?
Of course you can. You can do whatever you want, mate.
Now, Hue and Cry are better known for having a hit with a song called Labour of Love.
Oh, yes. Yeah, great song. Yeah,
my labour of love.
Yeah.
But I love Pat Kane's voice. And there was one he did, and it's a bit more...
They did a great version of The Man with Child in His Eyes, the Kate Bush song.
Well, they did. Violently you came to me.
Yeah. Yes.
But they did a great song. What was it now? They did another one.
Looking for Angeline.
Looking for Linda. There was a girl called Linda when I first started working this, and I'd be like, I was not looking for Linda, Linda found me. But there was a line in that song, where someone puts a pathetic line in. She had 35 pounds and 1 pack of ciggies. And it just made me laugh a lot because it's a very natural line, but it sounds a bit clunky.
It's not natural for a song, though, is it?
Okay, there's one very rhythmic one. Now, this is an example of how a record collection works. Because when you play songs, you're looking for the words and the music, and often I'd end up having to buy the record to get both of those. Although now with the internet you can get anything you want, and sheet music was more expensive than buying a record when I was buying records, you know. But yeah, I got the pen, delivers the goods, fills me with happiness. There's joy for a while, the first of the month, and I'm scraping the tail again. I want a love that's bigger than me, but I'm crushing myself to death. Give me a vision, please, and I don't mean heavily. I am no ordinary angel, living tiny victories, and the ordinary angel flies with the wings way heavenly. I try to be a daily genius, no idea beyond my reach, and the angels and the geniuses, the company I've got to keep. Ooh. Stay with me, stay with me, stay with me. I'm in the news, on my face, said like pleasant sleep. And I'll come up next time. You know it's transparent to me. Profit and power turning the world. I'm leaning against the spin. Give me a vision, please, and I don't mean heavily. I am no ordinary angel, wearing tiny victories, and the ordinary angel flies, the wings way heavily. Try to be a daily genius, there's no ideas beyond my reach. Angels and the says the company I've gotta keep. Oh, da 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 da. Stay with me, stay with me, stay with me, da 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 da. Stay with me, stay with me, stay with me.
Yeah,
Fabulous,
fabulous.
Well done,
Andy. Well done.
I've forgotten that song. It's a cracker. One of my girlfriends was a huge Hue and Cry fan, and it was all.
How many have you got?
How
many have you got?
No, I haven't got any at the moment.
And I have, Tony and I have got a similar thing. We've got the X Factor. We've both got enough X's. Yeah, haven't we, Tone?
Indeed.
The conversations we've had about this.
I know.
I've got the X Factor though, but she won't mind me saying that.
We're all millionaires.
Like Sergeant Higginson's Lonely Hearts Club Band.
Indeed.
I tell you.
Indeed.
We'd
Listen,
be in the front with all these women standing behind us.
We better have a bit of culture now, chaps. We're gonna find Mr. Brian's album again.
Oh.
And Brian, what should we? Oh, should we have The Lady Is a Tramp or Pennies from Heaven? What should we have, Bri?
I don't know. I can't even remember.
We'll have The Lady Is a Tramp. We'll have The Lady Is a Tramp
because he's found it. There it is.
Okay.
Complete with a dog.
Yeah.
She gets too hungry for dinner at 8. She likes the theater and never comes late. She never bothers with people she'd hate. That's why the lady is a tramp. Doesn't like crap games with with parents and earls. Won't go to Harlem in Emmons and Pearls. Won't diss the dead with the rest of the girls. That is why the lady is a tramp. She likes a free, fresh wind in her hair, life without care. She's broke, it's okay. Hates California, it's so cold and it's damp. That's why the lady is a tramp. She gets too hungry to wait for dinner at 8. She likes the theater and never comes late. And she'll never bother with anybody that she'd hate. That's why the lady is a tramp. She'll have no crap games with Sharpies and frauds, and she won't go to Harlem in Lincolns and Fords, and she won't diss the dead with the rest of the broads. That is why the lady is a tramp. She loves the free, fresh wind in her hair, life without care. She's broke, but it's okay. Hey, it's California, it's so cold and so that's why the lady, that's why the lady, that's why the lady is a tramp.
Hey,
Stunning, Brian. Stunning stuff.
Brilliant stuff.
Oh, he goes all shy now. Look,
Didn't mind us joining in at the end there. That was
I'm
brilliant.
glad you put me on first. I can't follow that.
Exactly.
You can. You can.
Brilliant.
Brian, that is brilliant. Honestly, absolutely brilliant. Isn't it lovely though with songs like that they've not aged? I mean,
No, they never age.
That's the thing about the genuine classics. I mean, that was probably written in what 1948, sometime around about there, Brian. You remember?
I think so. I don't remember when it was. To be honest with you,
there might be a clue.
Maybe a show.
Go on.
There might be a clue.
Yeah.
On the opening night of ITV, he showed a thing called Gala Night at the Mayfair, London.
Okay, yeah.
And one of the themes that was used, right? No, I've got the recording. I collect this. One of the things that was used as the intro to the programme was an orchestral version of Lady Is a Tramp.
Really?
That was September 22nd, 1955. So it proves the 1943.
Well done. Well done.
Well, we'll have to do
I told you I'm a researcher. I love things like that.
Yeah. Well, now the thing is here, though.
That's why I've got a degree.
The thing is that Paul, Dave, and I have got to decide who goes next between us.
No, go on. It's all welcome. We want to hear.
No, I'm joking.
You're in charge, Tom.
I am, but that's not meant to sound like that, is it? Really? No,
you're running the show,
Paul. If you would be so kind, it would be fabulous if we could have another one of your renditions.
Yes,
okay.
Please.
Okay. All right. So this is a little bit of a nonsense historical song, and I recently discovered, and neither of us knew it about each other. This is the thing when you're starting out on a journey. Zoe and I both discovered we both like history, and neither of us knew this about the other. So it's funny what you learn about all this sort of thing. So this, if I can remember it, I think I've got it, and it has a grand little chorus to it as well. It's a little nonsense historical song. I don't know if it was written by Tommy Macon, but it was certainly performed by him. and it's called The Liar. And I'll tell you the chorus. If you want to join it, you can. The chorus is, to me rightful tooraladdie toorally, there's no one who can tell a lie like me. You can search until you tire, you won't find a bigger liar. I've been lying since the dawn of history. That's the chorus. And here's the song. I was born about 10,000 years ago in Belmullets in the county of Mayo. It was me with praise the sermon, well, St. Patrick chased the vermin, and I'll the man that says it isn't so. To me rightful tooraladdie toorally, there is no one who can tell a lie like me. You can search until you tire, you can find a bigger liar. I've been lying since the dawn of history. I saw Eve go picking apples off a tree. She came over and she offered one to me. And I turned and said, dear madam, you can try your luck with Adam. I'm off home to have some fish and chips and tea. We'll be rightful tooraladdie toorally. There is no one who can tell a lie like me. You can search until you tire, you won't find a bigger liar. I've been lying since the dawn of history. I saw Delilah cutting Samson's hair. She snipped away until his head was bare. When he couldn't run away, well, she married him next day. Now they've opened up a barber shop in Clare. Rightful tooraladdie toorally. There is no one who can tell a lie like me. You can search until you tire, you won't find a bigger liar. I've been lying since the dawn of history. With King Billy at the Boyne, I heard him call on his followers to follow till they fall. He said, we'll win quite easily and we'll canonize Lung Paisley. And he often sang a verse on Derry's wall. With me rightful tooraladdie toorally, there is no one who can tell a lie like me. You can search until you tire, you won't find a bigger liar. I've been lying since the dawn of history. It was during World War II I met them all, with Roosevelt and Churchill and de Gaulle. And one day I nearly fainted, I was having my house painted. There was Hitler hanging paper in the hall. With me rightful tooraladdie toorally, there is no one who can tell a lie like me. You can search until you tire, you can find a bigger liar. I am lying since the dawn of history. Once more with me rightful tooraladdie. There is no one who can tell a lie like me. You will search until you tire, you will find a bigger liar. I've been lying since the dawn of history.
Superb.
Fabulous. Fabulous.
Paul,
I love them.
After last week's show, Paul agreed that in a week or two he's gonna take the running of a show a bit like Derek does, and you're going to give us an hour or so of songs and background of one of your favourite artists, aren't you, Paul?
Yeah, I need to have that phone call with you. I know you had commitments last week, so we'll reorganise that sometime.
I'll definitely give you a ring this week. But
that's fine.
We'll talk.
We can talk about it. It's going to be, and I'm yet to decide because they've both had big influences on. It's a bit like the Beatles and the Stones, the Dubliners and the Clancys, who very much.
Well, you can do both a month apart.
Well, I will, but what I'll do is do them as separates because there's too much to cover in one. You couldn't do them in one. There's just too much. So, although they were very good, close personal friends, and they did do some collaborative stuff, but not much. I think I'd have to do separates, but we can sort that out.
We will. No, I will. I'll give you a buzz.
Sure. And I just wanted to say, I love that notion of Hitler hanging paper in his hall.
Yeah, I love that.
Oh yeah.
Yeah. So I think to save Dave the worry of going next, what I'm going to do, if Andy agrees I can do this, is I'm going to play the piece I recorded for Ian's CD. Do you think we
Brilliant.
anybody might
I'd love to hear it.
Brilliant.
That's a magical thing called the montage.
I don't
Play Julie's intro though, Dave.
Yes, I will. Yeah, no, I will.
I don't know if anybody minds. I just need to take a very short comfort break.
Yeah, you
Thank you.
disappear for a sec, Paul, and
Thank you.
we'll film till you come back. We'll
Talk
film
amongst
till you come
yourselves.
back.
I'll be as quick as I can. Thank you.
Do not worry, mate. Do not worry.
So,
Take it out of the
Tony,
recording as well.
Tony, you know, talking about comedy
Yeah.
song.
Yeah.
Did you ever hear one called It's in the Book by a guy called Johnny Stanley? He's in the 1940s, 50s. I've sent you a link on WhatsApp.
Oh, okay.
It's just, he just messes around with nursery rhymes. And I remember it when I was a boy, and I just loved it.
We shall have a look.
Love to hear that.
Have a little. It's called It's in the Book. He goes, it's in the book. And then he said the poem, and he breaks it down, and it's so funny.
Well, I'll have a look at the WhatsApp on that. I mean,
Okay.
it's like talking back to Tom Lehrer before. Some people just had a natural ability to spin words into something that means something different than the original idea, didn't they? I mean, Ronnie Corbett and Ronnie Barker and people like that did it as well, didn't they? Really, you know, just took something very obvious and reworded it, and all of a sudden you've got something with a totally new meaning. You think you know what they're on about.
Yeah, one of them is, it starts off with Mary had a little lamb. Its fleece as white as snow. Oh no, that's not the one. Sorry.
But we all know that one, Brian.
No,
I know that.
I'm trying to think with it. The one about where the sheep gets lost, where little Bo
Peep.
He goes, little Bo Peep has lost her sheep and doesn't know where to find them. And then he goes, well, it's very obvious he doesn't know where to find them. Like that. And that's like the vein of it through it. He breaks it down and it's dead good.
Yeah. Anyway, so we'll give you a little bit of background just before we play this piece. So Ian writes from the heart. I mean, things that he encounters either in person or he reads about and they have an effect on him. He will invariably go away, and like any poet, you know, I'm sure Zoe would say the same. You moved to words. You feel that you have to write something, and the story behind this piece is that Ian's mum had been in touch saying, "Look, Ian, I know it's hard for you to come down to." They live near Worcester, in a place, Stourbridge, near Worcester. They live. And you know, it's a 2-hour journey, probably a bit more. You know, if you've got to change trains and all that. But you know, my mum's not very well. You know, she's a good age now because Julie Ian's mum must be in her 70s, I would assume. You know, I don't think she's got long left. You should come and visit her before she dies. So Ian and Jude went down to visit Julie Ian's mum. They went to see Ian's grandma, and you know, said goodbye to her basically. And 10 days later, Ian wrote this poem, and he wasn't originally going to share this poem with anybody. It was a personal piece. But when we were Andy and I were talking to him about, you know, this project, you know, we said, well, what we want is every asset that you've got, you know, everything you can share with us. You know, so if you've got something new that people have never encountered, either you could read it or you know, one of the other artists could read it. And Ian said, well, I don't want to read it because I'll cry. You know, it means so much to me. But you know, if you or Andy or anyone will read it, then that'd be fine. Well, obviously Andy had already done, you know, a piece written sort of with Ian, if not directly word for word, and kindly donated one of his own songs to the project. So the only person who hadn't agreed to do anything was poor old me. So Andy took me in. Andy took me into the studio when he was going in to record his piece. And like I said earlier, once we were working with Mark, this wonderful sound engineer producer, it sort of became easy is not the word I mean to use, but it became achievable to bring what you were recording to life. And Julie, Ian's mum, had already sent us an introduction to why this poem means so much. And Mark actually drove down to Stourbridge and re-recorded Julie to get a clearer piece of her audio. So the first person you hear is Julie Hall, Ian's mum. and there's some incidental music that Mark's put in place. And then it's me doing a wonderful piece by Ian D. Hall called
This is exciting. This is
The
exciting to me.
Passing of Britannia.
Oh.
Hi, I'm Julie, better known as Ian's mum. The poem that Tony has kindly agreed to read is very personal to Ian and myself, and I thank him for allowing me to share it with you. Ian wrote this after visiting his beloved Nan for the very last time. I was privileged to witness this beautiful and emotional moment. The following words portray the respect, gratitude and unconditional love he had for his maternal grandmother, who passed away just 10 days after.
The Passing of Britannia, as told by a steward. When you show Britannia tears, she will comfort you, cradle your soul, and make everything all right. Show her the face of heroism, of remaining loyal to her throughout life, of being faithful in a world in which she suspects she has done many wrongs. Then her tears are for you, to respect and kiss away gently, as they run down the side of her cheeks. Britannia is old now. My queen still fights on. I see the rage. I feel its heart as she lays down, the bed affording her tired body a resting place. The passing of the greatest warrior is close by, and a humble squire is granted audience one final time to show the queen, faithful Britannia, that her trust and guiding hand in this squire's upbringing was not in vain. In silence, briefly, she mistook me for a prince. How does a lowly squire, no knight, no dragon vanquished, look Britannia in the eyes and justify his existence, when so many should be thankful of her life? It could only be as the tear ran down her cheek, was to tell this regretful but proud monarch the heart of the squire's life, that she was much loved, that she is beautiful, and to smile but be true. The hurt and pain can be hidden for now. Time for the queen to be shown the respect she deserves.
Wow, that was so moving.
Yeah.
Fabulous.
Oh my God,
Absolutely
Tony,
Wonderful,
that was
wonderful piece, isn't
incredible.
it? I mean,
That was
Ian's
amazing.
poured
Tony,
so
your,
much.
your delivery then was just
Yeah,
incredible.
you did it brilliant, mate.
No,
Brilliant job.
Ian has
Seriously.
poured so much emotion into such a short piece of writing, and you know, I mean, Andy and Mark
Wow.
really need to take, you know, a huge dollop of thanks for, you know, getting that to be recorded, because you know, I think it's something special, and
That
just
was
to be part
that's
of
so
it.
beautiful.
A slight assumption is not from Starbridge because it's nowhere near the sea. So
Yeah,
I felt that it was like it had to be, all the things on it had to be personal to Ian. So it was like it was inspired by Ian, and also features his writing. So the missing page was a piece I wrote because we both loved Tony Hancock. And likewise, to say goodbye, I recorded that for my album, but then I read the running order that Mark had come up with, and we were actually sort of about 6 weeks after I'd done the recording, and he said, and Andy's other song, To Say Goodbye, is on this CD, and I went, no, because, you know, it wasn't recorded for that. He said, it sounds great, it's on the album. And I felt, oh, you know, I did feel guilty about it, but I mean, the fact was that I had explained I didn't really want it to be all about the people involved. I wanted it to be about the people who came to assemble this, who came to the table and brought some really good stuff.
yeah, we fit in, Andy. I mean, Mark was right. I mean, you know, it ties in very much with the sentiments of, you know, what Ian's written about himself, really. But you know, the main thing is, you know, everybody has put something in to create a bigger, better version than they would ever have made on their own. The joke of sum of all parts and such like is really, really true. It's not so much a compilation album, because that intimates everything was recorded and some bright spark has gone, oh, that's a good song, let's throw them all together. It's the sum of all its parts, because there's a hole in the middle of it, which is the words and wisdom of Ian D. Hall, like you said earlier, and that's really what it boils down to.
And I mean, I hope that this, because we can go on YouTube as musicians and just play. And I felt that it was better if we had something where we could get a CD recording and have Ian on it, and then let people hear that. So he's got a presence out there in the way that he's got
absolutely.
And he's on. I mean, he's on 3 or 4 of the tracks as a inverted commas a vocalist, isn't he? With John Chaston. So, Paul, what were you going to say then, mate?
No, it was just a question, and I only ask questions because I don't know the answers.
Yeah,
that's all right.
The question would be this. You all seem to know him very well. Would you say he was a reluctant performer?
Yes.
He seems he's happy to write it and put it together.
I think you've hit a nail on the head, Paul, I think. And Andy probably will give you first dibs on it, really.
Well, we won't go into the conversation I had with John last Monday, will I? I was a bit abrupt, was probably not quite descriptive. When you say to someone, hey, John, you're coming out. What do you mean? We're doing something and you're going to come out.
Right.
It was
no negotiation there.
Yeah, but it's not because I'm necessarily forceful. I like to work with people who feel comfortable with it. Hopefully they are comfortable to work with me. But I don't believe sometimes in playing it too low key. This is a very talented guy, and he's also given me a few breaks, and I think I owe him. I mean, it's my way of saying to him, thank you for being very kind and generous towards me, and this is my way of saying, hey mate, come on, I'm on your side too. It's like that with people who have known a long time, like David. David and I have known a long time. So I would always sort something out for him, guitar for him. I would always sort something out for him, because that's what you do for your friends.
Of course.
Yeah, and I think
and likewise, Tony's on our plan.
Yeah, but no, I mean, the other thing is performing poetry, because you nearly always do it unaccompanied. It's just you and your voice. I think performers, I mean, Zoe would probably back me up on this. She's done lots of poetry performances. If you hear yourself make a mistake with a word or a phrase, you think everyone else has sort of heard it. You can lose it inside a song a little bit. There's music playing as well as the voice. So occasionally you wouldn't know someone's missung a line or forgotten a word. But with poetry, it's just the one voice out loud, isn't it?
Absolutely. And it's really interesting because you do notice it. And to begin with, I always thought, everybody else spots it. But in the end, I think, well, it doesn't matter.
Well, what have I been telling you for the last fortnight? If you make a if you make a mistake, no, it's quite a serious point. If you make a mistake, never apologise, because if you apologise, then people know you have.
Yeah, that's a fair point, Paul. No, he's right. Yes.
If you're delivering a speech or a presentation, never apologise, because they don't know it's a mistake.
Yeah.
Nobody knows but you.
Yeah. So without putting him on the spot for the most perfect performance of the night, I think it's Dave's turn.
Come on, Dave. You're on, mate.
Go on, Dave.
Oh, God.
Oh, yeah.
Oh, yes.
You could always get into
live at the Royal Albert Hall.
Really? I thought you wouldn't travel that far.
You can now.
Oh,
no, he meant the Royal Albert John Hall.
Which is better? I'm not sure.
Or the John in the Royal Albert Hall.
Oh, John in the Royal Albert Hall. Okay.
Another mandolin song, Dave.
Yeah, well, I made a fool of myself once already.
Oh, you did not.
No, you did not.
No, did not.
Okay.
Did not.
Right. Okay. This was the one that I said I probably wasn't going to do. So brace yourself.
No, you're
You're
definitely
gonna
going to
do
do it.
Oh,
Ray!
power.
Okay. It's called Playtime.
Good for
Okay.
you.
Oh,
Push the barriers back.
Don't stay home alone. Go grab a guitar. The night has just begun. Heading down the local bar. Come on up and play. Sing your heart away. Come on up and play. Jam with us here today. Music playing away. Flowing like the tide. Off we go downtown. Come and join us for this ride. Come on up and play. Sing your heart away. Come on up and play. Jam with us here today. Playtime, give us a tune. Set the groove here in this room. Playtime, and give us a song. Spread the music here all night long. Ah, screwed up last bit.
Oh, David.
All right, that's great.
Oh, lost it there.
I
Last
can just
Go back
Well
to what I
done.
just said. Go back
sort
to
of
what I just
see
said.
that look. You, Paul. There was a little look on Dave's face just as he started
Yeah, I
strumming
know
the
it.
next line.
It's
Um,
cold fear. Cold
he
fear.
suddenly thought, one bit of me's not caught up with the other. Go on, Dave. You're going to give us something else then?
This one, it's taking the mickey out of what we're doing right now. So,
Okay.
okay.
Oh, it's like that, is it now?
Well, no, it's not. It's not what we're doing. It's what we're using. It's taking the mick
Okay.
out of that.
Oh,
Okay.
I like the sound of this already.
Okay. 1, 2, 3. Spending all day with screen to eye. Never look away nor even try. Ignore everything, just let it all pass by. No time at all for reality. Forget about books or the TV. Stay on Facebook and make your life story. Oh, can you see what I mean?
Yeah.
It's a life support machine. A main event may come your way. The weather turns great on that day. You had no clue, your mind miles away. Focusing for your next selfie. Not a lot, just 63. Share it online, let some strangers see. Oh, can you see what I mean? Oh, it's a life support machine. Wake up, put that phone away. Tell me, how will you live today? One sunny day and you decide, don't stay at home, let's take a ride. And don't let the charger behind. Then get home and wonder why. Maybe break down and even cry. Can't carry on, the mobile battery died. Oh, can you see what I mean? Oh, it's a life support machine.
That is terrific.
Dave, that
That
is
is
honestly, it's superb. That you've really got to really,
terrific.
when time allows, you've got to get somewhere with Andy and others and record that. It reminds me a bit about Paolo Nutini. I'm thinking. Does anyone remember Paolo Nutini?
Yeah.
Oh yeah, yeah. I know what you're thinking of.
Yeah.
We got some new shoes on.
That's the one. Yeah, it's got that sort of vibe to it. I love it because
Really?
that
When
stood
you
out when that came out. That was just one of those clever, different songs, and that's what it is. It's a clever, different song.
Reminds me of.
Woke up on Thursday.
Go on, Paul. Yeah.
I tell you what it reminds me of. It reminds me of a guy called Tom Paxton.
Oh yeah.
And there's a great YouTube piece out there. He did a piece. Pete Seeger, dear old Pete Seeger, used to do a television show, a regional show in America, and he invited the Clancy brothers on, but he also invited Tom Paxton on. And the day he did it, the previous day, there'd been a power cut in the local area, and Tom Paxton wrote a song called "Where Were You When the Lights Went Out?"
Okay.
And it's very sort of, it's very of the moment.
Yeah.
It's of the moment, and it's very of the time. I think that was done about 1965, but even so, it talked about an event of the day. This is very much event of the day, and nails it to the floor. Absolutely.
Oh, thank you, Paul. You're very kind. I mean, I will admit, the theme was in my head for a while, but whereas I thought to myself, if you start preaching too much, it might turn people away. If you're just like, oh no, you shouldn't do that. It's just like, why not just take the mick out of it?
Almost Dylan-esque. Almost Dylan-esque.
And it's with you mentioning like parody songs before. One parody artist who I've heard a few songs of is I might be butchering his name now. It's more of an Weird Al Yankovic.
Bloody brilliant!
Oh,
yeah, absolutely brilliant.
Oh
yeah.
Wow!
He's done a lot more than people realise because he's famous for a couple of songs. He's recorded tons of stuff.
Yeah,
I like the parodies of they're the parody of Blurred Lines and Happy.
Eat It.
Yes.
Michael Jackson parody, that's a brilliant one.
That was my introduction in 1985 to Johnny Larson. Eat It. Because he played down the keyboard for me.
What about, there's a guy did one called We Didn't Own an iPad, and it was all about life in the 1980s.
Oh, it was the Billy Joel skit.
The fire. Yeah.
I like the one called Tacky about all these things where gauche people do stuff, strange things. Like it was like, it might seem crazy wearing stripes and plaid, I Instagram every meal I had,
Yes.
I'll take you to the show, but I'll make you pay.
It was what's the other one? Amish Paradise as well. That Gangster Paradise. That's the video on that is brilliant. I love the video on that.
That's
it's so hilarious.
The modern era is that people can do brilliant videos to go with their songs a lot easier than in the past.
Yeah, but there's a kind of something about those in the past. They were sort of there's something real about that.
Yeah,
true. Music's become as much a visual art form as much as an audio one now.
Yeah, I know. It's kind
of many years ago.
Yeah. Anyway, guys, listen, we can carry on chatting, but I am going to stop